Good morning, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is October 3rd, 2017, and I hope everyone is doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the Federal Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1971 and some very valuable and important information with regards to your personal credit rating. Now, I want you to keep in mind that we are discussing here your personal credit rating. We are not talking about business credit ratings or anything of that sort. This is based around your personal rights as a consumer. Of course, we all know that a good credit rating is extremely important. Businesses inspect your credit history when they evaluate applications that you have filled out for credit, insurance, employment, and even just to get a regular lease. They can use it when they choose to give or to deny you credit or insurance, provided, of course, that you receive fair and equal treatment, because there is compliance that they must go by in order to use that credit rating. Of course, sometimes things will happen that cause credit problems. A temporary loss of income, an illness, even a computer error. And solving credit problems can take time and patience, but it doesn't have to be the big ordeal that a lot of people think that it is. The Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, is who enforces the credit laws that protect your right to get, use, and maintain credit. These laws do not guarantee that everyone will receive credit. Instead, the credit laws protect your rights by requiring businesses to give all consumers a fair and equal opportunity to get credit and to resolve disputes over credit errors or discrepancies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what your rights are under these laws and offer some practical tips to help you to solve the minor credit problems that you may be facing. In addition to providing you with the few great myths that are revolving around the credit laws currently, a lot of people really are unaware of what credit bureaus and creditors are required to do, what their compliance is. And hopefully this will help clear up some of the misinformation that has been provided with regards to what they're capable of. Your credit report contains information about where you live, how you pay your bills, whether you've been sued, arrested, or filed for bankruptcy. Consumer reporting companies sell the information in your report to businesses that use it to evaluate your applications for credit, insurance, employment, or renting a home, for example. Now, the Federal Fair Credit Reporting Act, or the FCRA, promotes the accuracy and privacy of the information that are in those credit files of the they cover all of the nation's consumer reporting companies. And under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you have very specific rights. And those rights are what we are going to utilize as we move forward with your debt consolidations and your debt extinguishing of items that are on your credit report that we need to get rid of in order to get you back to a good standing. So it's very important that you actually know these very specific rights. There are more rights that are actually included within the Fair Credit Reporting Act that I will not be covering today. They go into a little bit more detail for very specific, more difficult things to remove, and I'll be going into those later. But these specific rights are very, very important for you to be aware of. So the first thing that you need to be aware of is that you have the right to receive a copy of your credit report. The copy of your report must contain all of the information in your file at the time of request. Each of the nationwide consumer reporting companies, include Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, is required to provide you with a free copy of your credit report at your request once every 12 months. Now, consumers from coast to coast will have access to a free annual credit report if they ask for it. Under the federal law, you're also entitled to a free report if a company takes adverse action against you, like denying your application for credit, insurance, or employment, and you ask for your report within 60 days of receiving that notice of action. The notice will give you the name, address, and phone number of the consumer reporting company they used. You're also entitled to one free report a year if you're unemployed and plan to look for a job within 60 days. If you happen to be on welfare, or if your report is inaccurate because of fraud, including identity theft. Otherwise, a consumer reporting company may be able to charge you up to $9.50 for another copy of your credit report a secondary time within the same 12-month period. You have the right to know who asked for your credit within the past year, 2 years for employment-related requests specifically. If a company denies your application, you have the right to the name and address of the consumer reporting company that they contacted, provided the denial was based on information that was given by the consumer reporting company. If you question the accuracy or completeness of information in your report, you have the right to file a dispute with the consumer reporting company and the information provider. That is the person, company, or organization that provided the information about you to the consumer reporting company. Both the consumer reporting company and the information provider are obliged to investigate your claim. They are obligated and responsible for correcting inaccurate or incomplete information on your report. That means anything that is either inaccurate, erroneous, or incomplete on your report. You have a right to add a summary explanation to your credit report if your dispute is not resolved to your satisfaction. You also can ask the consumer reporting company to provide you your statement to anyone who receives a copy of your credit report in the recent past. You can expect to possibly pay a small fee for this service, but it can be very useful in certain circumstances. Now, there are a few myths that seem to be going around. They've been going around for a very long time, and I want to go ahead and expose those myths now. Each person's financial journey is very different, and it's different throughout your lifetime. But there are ways to be smart about credit that can be very useful to people at many different points in their life. Here are a few of the most widespread myths about credit that seem to persist year after year. And knowing the truth about these can help you to evaluate your options and stay energized about your finances. So we're going to have about 5 different myths here. And the first myth is that there's only one credit score. Your credit score is a measure that lenders use to determine your credit worthiness on a scale from low to high. These scores differ in small but important ways according to which credit scoring model is used and the factors that it considers from within your credit information. Seeing how your scores differ can be an effective way to capture a better sense of your total credit picture at any given time, like when you're considering a major purchase, such as a home or an automobile. Myth number 2, checking your credit report can hurt your score. One of the most common misconceptions about your credit score is that by requesting a copy of it, you will damage it in some manner. When you apply for a new line of credit and a lender looks at your credit report, an inquiry known as a hard inquiry will appear. Having too many of these on your credit report within the same year may indicate that you're seeking credit from many places and may indicate that you're trying to overspend, which is not a good sign. But if you're looking at your own credit report, the inquiry is known as a soft inquiry, and these have no impact whatsoever on your credit score. So be confident that examining your own credit information is a positive thing, and your score will not suffer from your interest in it. Myth number 3, there's nothing you can do about something bad on your credit report. Your credit report is an accumulation of information about how you use credit. A common misconception is that information on your credit report is permanent, but that is not true. Items that cause concern, like late payments or accounts that are in collection, eventually come off of your credit report. Your credit report doesn't show each transaction since you opened your first credit account, unless that happened in the recent past. Most credit scoring formulas show the most recent and the most relevant information in your report. If there are things on your reports that you don't recognize, it may be evidence of fraudulent activity. And if that's the case, each credit bureau has a process for reporting this suspicious activity. Checking your report regularly can help you stay on top of any fraudulent activity that criminals may attempt, and it can also help you to stay on top of the many erroneous items and inaccurate items that are actually placed there by creditors. Myth number 4, you can avoid credit problems by just using cash. Cash is great for many of life's smaller purchases, but for life's larger expenses like a home, you likely won't be able to pay in cash. Those are the times that you need to use your credit. To get the best rates from your lender, your credit score will have to be in good shape. Don't run from your credit problems by trying to avoid using credit altogether. Keeping your credit utilization low and making sure to use credit wisely, such as staying within your debt-to-income ratio, can show that you are responsible with your finances. Then when you are ready to make a big purchase, your credit score can support your creditworthiness to potential lenders. We will at a later time be going into what your debt-to-income ratio is, how to factor that in with your credit score, and how to properly read everything within your credit profile, which is one of the reasons why I've asked you to ensure that you are provided a credit report by mail. Myth number 5, if you have bad credit, you will never be approved for a loan. If your credit isn't at its best right now, that doesn't mean that you can't be approved for a loan. You may need now. It could mean that you likely won't be eligible for the best rates that the lender can offer, however. Having to pay back more in interest on a loan you're seeking now may be a reminder you need to keep better tabs on your credit score. It's never too late to start learning about how to take care of your credit for the future. In the long run, it is your future, your livelihood, and your well-being. So don't ignore your credit. I understand that at times it's something that everyone is inclined to want to do. The reason for this is because most people, of course, don't have perfect credit their entire lives. Many fall into the pitfalls early in life, and then sometimes there are just things that occur like illnesses and layoffs from employment that make it inevitable. And one of the things that creates a cognitive dissonance with regards to viewing your credit and facing those issues is the feeling of failure. And I encourage you, while you're going through this series with me, to try to put those feelings aside and look at things more objectively and clinically. And the reason why that's important is things, I guarantee you, are never as bad as they feel. You're going to find that going through this process is going to allow you to alleviate those fears. It's also going to help you to get your credit score back on track. And I'm even going to show you some ways to build your credit on top of bad credit that you may not be able to actually get removed, but you would be able to cover it up through the use of starting to rebuild your credit and starting to get very low balance credit cards, even with credit problems. So no matter what your personal situation is, I encourage you to please be sure to get your credit report. Be sure to get it with the process being through a hard copy by mail. You can visit annualcreditreport.com and use their mail form, print it out, fill it out, send in the identified information that verifies your identity, certified mail, and get your hard copy credit reports started processing so they can be sent back to you quickly and we can get you going to a brighter future with your finances. Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.